Deep in the void between stars, the last dropship from humanity's fallen outpost escaped through the darkness. First Officer Chen gripped the controls, sweat beading on her forehead as the vessel shuddered around her. Their colony, gone. Their families, scattered across escape pods or worse. All because humanity had ventured too far into territory claimed by beings who viewed our species as nothing more than vermin to be exterminated. Damage report, Chen called out, voice steady despite the chaos. The emergency lights bathed the cramped cockpit in crimson, casting shadows across the faces of the 3 surviving crew members. Lieutenant Rivera looked up from his console, eyes reflecting the flickering displays. Life support at 60%. Hull integrity compromised in sectors 3 and 7. We're venting atmosphere, but the emergency seals are holding. For now. Any sign of pursuit? Chen asked, already knowing the answer. The aliens never abandoned a hunt. Nothing yet on scanners, but they'll be coming, Rivera replied. They always do. Engineer Patel worked frantically at her station, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. I've managed to mask our engine signature, but it won't fool them for long. We need to find somewhere to hide, make repairs. Outside the viewport, the endless darkness of space offered no sanctuary, no place to conceal themselves from what hunted them. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of first contact, imagining peaceful exchanges of knowledge and culture. Instead, they discovered a universe where advanced civilizations viewed emerging spacefaring species as competition to be eliminated before they could become threats. There's an uncharted system 3 light hours from our position, Rivera said, breaking the tense silence. Dense asteroid field could provide cover while we repair the ship. Chen nodded. Set course. Maximum stealth protocols. As the dropship altered trajectory, Paddle's voice emerged as barely a whisper. They're calling themselves the Guardians. Their communications describe humans as the infection. They believe they're protecting the galaxy from us. We were just colonists, Rivera said, voice cracking. Farmers, engineers, families. It doesn't matter what we were, Chen replied, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. What matters is what we become now. If we survive this, the Earth Alliance needs to know what happened here. They need to understand what we're facing. The ship's sensors suddenly blared to life, a warning tone that made everyone freeze. Large vessel detected at extreme range, Rivera announced, eyes widening. Configuration unknown, not matching any Allied designs. Chen leaned forward, studying the grainy image forming on the main screen. The silhouette that emerged sent ice through her veins. Angular, predatory, bristling with weapon emplacements. Not the sleek organic designs of the Guardians. That's not them, Chen said slowly. That's something else entirely. The mysterious vessel changed course, accelerating directly toward their position. The sensor analysis completed with a soft chime, displaying 3 words that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. Detected human warship, heavily armed and hostile. That's impossible, Rivera whispered, eyes fixed on the display. There's no record of any Earth Alliance warship in this sector. We're beyond the frontier. Chen's mind raced through possibilities, each more troubling than the last. The Earth Alliance had never built warships of that configuration. Sleek, aggressive, with weapon systems unlike anything in humanity's current arsenal. Yet the computer's analysis was unmistakable. Human energy signatures, human alloys, human design principles, evolved, but recognizable. Could it be from one of the lost colonies? Patel suggested, referring to the early settlement ships that had ventured beyond charted space decades ago. Some had never reported back. No colony had this kind of military technology, Chen replied, studying the approaching vessel. Its hull was scared, bearing the marks of numerous battles. This wasn't a ship of exploration or peace. Whoever they are, they're battle-hardened. The comm system crackled to life suddenly, making them all jump. A voice, distorted but unmistakably human, filled the cockpit. Unidentified vessel. This is the Warship Vengeance. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself or be destroyed. The three crew members exchanged bewildered glances. Restricted space. In this uncharted sector. Chen hesitated, then activated the comms. This is First Officer Mai Chen of the Earth Alliance dropship Pathfinder. We're survivors from Outpost Horizon. We've sustained heavy damage and are seeking temporary sanctuary. We were attacked by. Maintain current course and prepare for inspection. The voice interrupted coldly. Any deviation will be considered hostile action. The transmission cut off abruptly. They didn't even ask about the Guardians, Rivera noted, brow furrowed. That's not standard protocol. Patel's fingers flew across her console. I'm picking up more detailed scans now. That ship, it's old, Chen. The design architecture dates back at least 70 years, but the weapons systems are advanced. More advanced than anything we have now. That doesn't make sense, Chen murmured. A 70-year-old ship shouldn't have next-generation weaponry. The pieces weren't fitting together. A human warship, apparently decades old yet simultaneously advanced, operating in uncharted space, claiming territory without Earth Alliance authorization. Something was very wrong. I'm detecting other vessels now, Rivera announced, voice tightening. Smaller craft, similar design principles. They're emerging from the asteroid field ahead. A fleet, Chen breathed. They have an entire fleet out here. The main view screen shifted to show the emerging vessels. 5, then 8, then 12, all bearing the same battle-scarred appearance as the Vengeance. Each bristled with weapons, their hulls marked with a symbol none of them recognized. A fist clutching a broken chain. Officer Chen, Patel said quietly. Look at their trajectory analysis. Chen's blood ran cold as she studied the data. The smaller vessels weren't merely escorting the Vengeance. They were forming a perimeter, creating a kill box with the Pathfinder at its center. They're surrounding us, Rivera realized aloud. The comm system activated again, but this time a different voice spoke. Older, female, carrying the weight of command and years of hardship. Pathfinder, this is Admiral Quan of the Human Liberation Front. Your vessel bears Earth Alliance markings. Explain your presence in liberated territory immediately. Human Liberation Front. Liberated territory. Chen looked at her fellow survivors, seeing her own confusion reflected in their faces. None of this was making any sense. Before Chen could respond, Rivera's console erupted with warnings. Multiple jump signatures detected. Large vessels emerging at the system's edge. The sensor display flickered, then stabilized to reveal 3 massive organic-looking ships materializing from hyperspace. Their hunters had found them. Guardians, Chen whispered. The Guardians found us, Chen whispered, her stomach knotting with dread. The organic-looking ships hung in the void like terrible predators, their hulls pulsing with an internal light that reminded Chen of bioluminescent deep-sea creatures from Earth's oceans. Admiral Quan's voice returned, sharper now. Pathfinder, remain on your current heading. Do not deviate. Rivera's hands trembled over the controls. Should we comply? We don't know who these people are. We don't have a choice, Chen replied, eyes locked on the Guardian vessels that continued their approach. Those alien ships will tear us apart in seconds. At least the humans haven't fired on us yet. The dropship shuddered as a tractor beam locked onto them, drawing them steadily toward the Vengeance's hangar bay. On the sensor displays, the smaller human vessels moved with practiced precision, forming a defensive screen between the Pathfinder and the approaching Guardians. Incoming transmission, Patil announced. It's from the Guardians. The view screen flickered, revealing a being that made Chen's skin crawl. Humanoid but wrong. Like a sculptor had created a human figure using only second-hand descriptions. Its skin was pale gray, eyes too large and entirely black, set in a face with proportions that triggered a deep-seated revulsion. Human vessel. The creature spoke, its voice a multilayered sound that seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. You harbor fugitives who have violated the Preservation Accord. Surrender them immediately. Before Chen could respond, Admiral Quan's voice cut through on a parallel channel. Pathfinder, do not respond to that transmission. Repeat, maintain calm silence with the Guardians. The Guardian continued, unperturbed. The Alliance surrendered all rights to expansion in this sector. Your presence violates the treaty that preserves galactic order. The infection must be contained. The communication abruptly terminated as the Vengeance's hangar bay enveloped the Pathfinder. Heavy blast doors sealed behind them, cutting off the view of space and the approaching Guardian ships. They're talking about a treaty, Rivera said, voice hollow. Did Earth sell us out? Did the Alliance make some kind of deal with these things? Chen had no answer. The Earth Alliance had always championed expansion and colonization as humanity's birthright. The idea that they would sign away human lives was unthinkable. Armed personnel in unfamiliar uniforms surrounded their dropship as it settled onto the hangar deck. Their faces were hard, their weapons ready. These weren't the standardized pulse rifles of the Earth Alliance. These were heavier, cruder, designed for maximum damage rather than precision. Everyone stay calm, Chen instructed as the airlock cycled open. Let me do the talking. The first person to board wasn't a soldier but a woman in her 50s, her black hair streaked with gray, her face weathered by years of hardship. She wore a simple uniform with the same broken chain insignia they'd seen on the ships. Admiral Quan, Chen guessed, straightening her posture despite her exhaustion. The woman nodded once, sharp eyes scanning the three survivors. First Officer Chen, you claim to be from Outpost Horizon. We are, Chen confirmed. We were attacked without warning. The Guardians destroyed everything. Research facilities, habitation domes, civilian shelters. Everyone. We're the only survivors we know of. Admiral Quan's expression remained unchanged, but something flickered in her eyes. Horizon was established 8 months ago, correct? Under Earth Alliance Expansion Directive 37. Chen nodded slowly. Then the Alliance has violated the Preservation Accord, Quan said grimly. Again. The ship shuddered suddenly, and alarm klaxons began blaring throughout the hangar bay. A voice came over the intercom. Admiral to the bridge. Guardian vessels have locked weapons. Quan turned sharply. Get these 3 to medical, then secure detention. Full quarantine protocols. Detention. Chen protested. We're humans. We're on the same side. Quan's laugh was bitter. Are we? Your alliance signed humanity's death warrant 30 years ago. They agreed to contain us, to stop our expansion, to let the Guardians preserve the galaxy from human contamination. They surrendered our future. She gestured to the soldiers. We are what remains of those who refuse to accept extinction. The Human Liberation Front fights for our right to exist without constraints, without alien-imposed boundaries. The ship rocked violently, throwing them all off balance. Weapons fire. The battle had begun. Take them, Quan ordered, already moving toward the exit. And if they try to contact the Guardians, shoot them. They might be carrying Alliance transponders. As Chen and her crewmates were led away at gunpoint, she caught sight of a massive view screen showing the space battle erupting outside. The Guardian vessels were unleashing energy weapons against the human fleet, which returned fire with devastating salvos. But beyond the immediate battle, at the edge of the system, more jump signatures were appearing, dozens of them. The reinforcements weren't Liberation Front vessels. They were Earth Alliance warships. Chen stared in horror as she realized the truth. They had stumbled into the middle of a 3-way war between the Guardians, the Liberation Front, and the Earth Alliance, and somehow her small crew had become the spark that might ignite the final confrontation. Chen pressed her face against the small viewport in their detention cell, watching in horrified fascination as the battle unfolded in the void beyond. The Human Liberation Front vessels moved with surprising agility for their size, executing combat maneuvers that spoke of years of guerrilla warfare experience. The Guardian ships pulsed with energy as they fired strange organic-looking projectiles that seemed to track their targets with unnatural precision. "I've never seen Alliance ships fighting Guardians before," Rivera said, standing beside her. "I thought we were at peace." "Peace built on surrender, according to Quan," Chen replied. "If she's telling the truth." Patel sat on the edge of a narrow bunk, her hands working methodically as she disassembled a small communication device she'd managed to hide during their processing. "We need to know what's really happening before we pick a side. Neither the Liberation Front nor the Alliance has given us the full story." The ship rocked violently as it took a direct hit. The emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the cell in crimson. "Someone's coming," Rivera warned, hearing footsteps approaching their cell. The door slid open to reveal a young officer, face streaked with sweat and grime. "The Admiral wants you on the bridge." "Now." "Why?" Chen asked, immediately suspicious. "Because the Alliance commander is asking for you by name." The three exchanged shocked glances before following the officer through corridors filled with crew members rushing to battle stations. The Vengeance was an old ship, its interior reflecting decades of repairs and modifications. Unlike the sleek, standardized design of Alliance vessels, every panel and component here told a story of survival against odds. They arrived on the bridge to find organized chaos. Officers called out damage reports and tactical updates, while Admiral Quan stood at the center, a pillar of calm amidst the storm. On the main view screen, a face Chen recognized immediately filled the display. "Commander Zhao, one of the Alliance's most decorated officers. Demand the immediate surrender of First Officer Mai Chen and all survivors from Outpost Horizon," Zhao was saying, his face a mask of military discipline. "They are Alliance personnel and protected under interstellar law." Quan noticed Chen's arrival and gestured her forward. "Here's your precious officer, Zhao. Tell her the truth. Tell her what the Alliance sacrificed her colony for." Commander Zhao's eyes found Chen's. Something flickered across his face, regret, perhaps, or shame. "First Officer Chen, it's good to see you alive. We received your outpost's distress call and responded as quickly as possible. After you set them up to die," Quan interjected coldly. "What is she talking about?" Chen demanded, stepping closer to the screen. "Commander, what's happening here?" Zhao's jaw tightened. Outpost Horizon was established as part of a classified initiative. Its purpose was more than scientific research. It was bait. Quan spat. "Tell her, Zhao. Tell her how the Alliance has been using frontier colonies as testing grounds, measuring Guardian response times, weapons capabilities, tactics." Chen felt as if the deck had dropped away beneath her feet. "Is that true? Were we sent there as targets?" The ship shuddered again as another Guardian weapon found its mark. Status displays flashed red across the bridge. "The Guardians are concentrating fire on our starboard shields," an officer reported. "They're trying to create a breach point." "And the Alliance vessels?" Quan asked. "Maintaining position at system edge." "They're not engaging, Admiral." Quan turned back to the view screen. "They never do they, Zhao? They watch us fight and die while maintaining their precious accord." On a secondary display, Chen could see the Guardian vessels shifting formation, coordinating their attack with chilling precision. The Liberation Front ships were responding, but they were outnumbered nearly 2-1. "Officer Chen," Commander Zhao said, his voice strained, "you're carrying critical data. The medical examinations performed at Horizon before the attack. The brain scans." Chen blinked in confusion. "The routine medical checks. What about them?" "They weren't routine," Zhao replied. "The colonists at Horizon were exhibiting unusual neurological patterns, changes we couldn't explain. We needed more data before informing anyone." "Changes?" Rivera interjected. "What kind of changes?" But before Zhao could answer, the tactical officer shouted, "Guardian flagship is deploying something. Multiple small objects, heading directly for us." The view screen shifted to show dozens of pod-like structures hurtling toward the Vengeance. Unlike conventional weapons, these moved with purpose, adjusting their trajectory to avoid defensive fire. Boarding craft, Quan realized aloud. All hands, prepare for breach. Commander Zhao's expression grew urgent. Chen, listen to me. The data you're carrying might be the key to everything. The colonists weren't just changing, they were evolving. Something was accelerating human neural development, something the Guardians are terrified of. That's why they attacked Horizon. That's why they'll keep coming for you. The first impacts shook the ship as the Guardian pods attached themselves to the hull. Alarm klaxons wailed as pressure breaches were detected across multiple decks. Get those 3 to the secondary command center, Quan ordered a nearby officer. Secure them there. As they were hustled from the bridge, Chen looked back to see Commander Zhao's face one last time on the view screen. The Preservation Accord was never about containing humanity. Chen, he said, his words nearly lost in the chaos. It was about containing what we might become. The screen went dark as the connection was severed. In the corridors, emergency bulkheads began slamming shut as the ship prepared for boarders. Through a viewport, Chen caught a glimpse of the Earth Alliance fleet finally moving, accelerating toward the battle. A deafening screech of tearing metal echoed through the hallway ahead. The young officer escorting them drew his weapon as something began cutting through a sealed bulkhead from the other side. They're already inside, he whispered. The bulkhead burst inward in a shower of molten metal. In the corridor beyond stood 3 Guardian soldiers, their environmental suits making them appear even more alien. Their weapons raised in unison, targeting Chen with unerring precision. The Evolved one of them said in that same mind-piercing voice. Capture. The others are expendable. Time seemed to slow as Chen faced the Guardian soldiers. Their weapons hummed with energy, ready to fire. But Rivra moved faster than Chen had ever seen him move, shoving her sideways as he raised the emergency flare he'd palmed from a wall station. The corridor erupted in blinding light as he triggered it directly in the Guardians' faces. Run, he shouted. They sprinted down a side passage as weapons fire scorched the walls behind them. Patil led the way, the small device she'd been working on now clutched in her hand. This way, she called, following directions on her jury-rigged scanner. The hangar bay is 3 levels down. They raced through the chaos of a ship under attack, passing Liberation Front crew members rushing to defensive positions. The Vengeance shuddered continuously now as multiple battles raged throughout its decks. Why did the Guardian call me the Evolved One? Chen gasped as they ran. The headaches, Patil replied. Those migraines you've been having since we arrived at Horizon. Remember how the medical officer said your brain scans showed unusual activity? What if that's what Zhao meant? They reached a maintenance shaft and descended rapidly, the sounds of fighting growing more distant. As they emerged near the hangar bay, they found Admiral Quan waiting with a small squad. I figured you'd try for a ship, she said, her weapon not quite pointed at them. The question is, where will you go? Back to Earth, Chen said without hesitation. People need to know the truth about the Accord, about what's happening to the colonists, about everything. Quan's laugh was bitter. Earth won't listen. They signed the Accord 30 years ago because they were afraid. The Guardians convinced them that unrestricted human expansion would destabilize the galaxy. They'll classify everything about you and bury it. A massive explosion rocked the ship, throwing them all off balance. Hull breach in the main reactor section. A voice announced over the comm. Containment failing. Quan looked at Chen, decision made. Take my personal shuttle. It's prepped and fueled. You're letting us go? Rivera asked in disbelief. The Liberation Front was created to ensure humanity's survival, at any cost, Quan replied. If what's happening to you is our next evolution, you need to live. As they boarded the shuttle, alarms blaring throughout the hangar, Chen turned back. Come with us. Quan shook her head. Someone has to buy you time. The shuttle launched moments later, accelerating away from the mortally wounded Vengeance. Through the viewport, they watched as the Liberation front ships formed a defensive perimeter, engaging both Guardian and Alliance vessels to create an escape corridor. "They're sacrificing themselves," Rivera whispered. On the shuttle's comm, a message from Commander Zhou broke through the jamming. "First Officer Chen, if you can hear this, the Alliance fleet will provide cover fire. Get clear of the battlefield. There's a research station in the Proxima system where we can meet. We need to understand what's happening to you, to all the colonists." Patil looked at Chen. "Can we trust him? The Alliance used us as bait." Chen closed her eyes, and when she opened them, something had changed. The strange sensation that had been building in her mind since Horizon, fragmented thoughts, impossible connections, fleeting glimpses of patterns, suddenly crystallized into perfect clarity. "I can see it now," she said quietly. "The Guardians aren't preserving the galaxy from us. They're preserving their dominance. They've done this before, to other species. They sense potential and exterminate it before it can challenge them." She turned to her friends, her only family now. "We're not going to Proxima, and we're not going to Earth. There are more colonies out there, more people like us, changing. We need to find them before the Guardians do." The shuttle accelerated to light speed, leaving behind the battle that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. Behind them, the Vengeance erupted in a final defiant explosion, taking 3 Guardian vessels with it. Chen looked ahead into the star-filled darkness, feeling the new awareness expanding within her mind. For the first time since Horizon fell, she felt something beyond grief and confusion. She felt purpose. The war for humanity's evolution had just begun.